For me, it is a true privilege to be able to serve as ambassador of Finland in Greece. So I am very lucky to be here today, and I think I'm also very lucky in the sense that I embarked on this post almost 2 years ago at a very opportune moment, because I feel that Finland and Greece, we are currently on a very positive, dynamic trajectory. We are, you could almost say, rediscovering one another. We are realizing more and more how much we have in common, how many common interests and aims we have, and how many opportunities for collaborating more closely, in the EU especially, but given Finland's recent NATO membership, also in NATO. The welcome I received in Greece was a very warm one. Everyone's been most kind. What I find most important, everyone seems to be very keen to know more about the work of the embassy, to get to know Finland better, and that is of course clearly what we are. This is our job, that is what we are here for. You asked about travel in Greece. Yes, I've been able to travel around a bit. Not nearly as much as I hope to in the future. I've traveled thus far mostly for work purposes, visited some of the islands, the north of the country, Thessaloniki, Alexandroupoli. One of my first trips was to Rhodes, where we have one of the largest Finnish communities in Greece. Welcome everywhere has been very, very warm, as I said. Now, over the coming months and years, I really look forward to exploring Greece also privately, touring the islands, of course, but I think especially the mainland. This spring, my plan is to visit maybe the two extremes of mainland Greece. I'm planning to go to Mani. I'm fascinated by what I've seen and heard about Outer Mani, and then the Prespa Lakes as a nature destination. Well, Greece and Finland, we go back a long way. Diplomatic relations were, as you said, established already in 1918. Greece was in fact one of the very first countries to recognize Finland's independence. We declared independence in December 1917, and only a few weeks later Greece recognized us as an independent nation. This is something that we remember and that we are still grateful for to Greece. But our relations, of course, they do go back quite a lot further than that. I would like to mention the Greek War of Independence. Finland is a small country. We're quite far removed on the map of Europe, and in the old days, of course, distances seemed far greater than they do today. But despite that, we had a couple of quite important Philhellenes contributing to the Greek independence struggle. One of them, by the name of August Myrberg, actually made it to major in the Greek army and served as commandant of the fort in Nafplio. So there was a Finnish contribution to the Greek effort, and importantly for Finland, the story of this man, August Myrberg, and the history of the Greek independence struggle, they very much inspired the first generation of Finnish nationalists, our poets and philosophers of the time. So there was a contribution from Greece to Finland, as there was, I'm sure, also in many other young aspiring nations in Europe at the time. Well, the main task of any embassy, same goes for this one, of course, is to work on strengthening and deepening the government-to-government relations, the political and trade relations, the dialogue between our our officials at various levels. But of course the embassy also works as a facilitator for contacts between all other stakeholders in business, academia, education, culture, you name it. The third field of operation for the embassy is consular work. We are here also to assist Finnish citizens, those permanently living here in Greece. We have quite a nice big Finnish community here, and the hundreds of thousands of Finns who visit Greece annually. Political and trade, economic relations, these are the two key fields of operation for myself. Here I have to mention, of course, these are not my priorities, these are embassy priorities, these are priorities for our foreign service overall, strengthening our bilateral cooperation, identifying opportunities for closer cooperation, pinpointing to our businesses and other stakeholders. This is where, where you should look at for finding new partners and opportunities for growing together. I will mention maybe two sectors that have emerged and are emerging as priorities for our operation. One is security and defense. Given our recent membership in NATO, this of course has added a new dimension to our cooperation. Currently we have quite a lot of exchanges on different levels, ministerial visits. Minister Dendias was recently in Helsinki, but also visits between our chiefs of staff of the various branches of the armed forces. The other sector I wanted to mention was maritime. Here we have more in common than is maybe generally known in Greece. Finland also is very much a maritime nation. As an export-driven economy, maritime transport is a lifeline and an absolute necessity for Finland in some of the similar ways as it is for Greece. We're also a shipbuilding nation. We build the largest cruise vessels on the planet. We build icebreakers. We are the leader globally in that field. We also have expertise in specialized professional boats, some of which are actually in use by the Hellenic Coast Guard at the moment. Well, trade relations between Greece and Finland, they are quite active. Our trade volume is respectable. Overall, trade in goods and services is nearing slowly 1 billion, but there is certainly room for much, much more, and that is of course what we are working on at the embassy also. Digitalization, energy, and I would say green energy especially. We have a fairly small but quite active Finnish business community here in Greece. In digitalization we have Nokia, we have Wärtsilä both in energy and maritime, we have Kone, elevators and escalators, you find them all across the country. We have an excellent relationship, collaboration and contacts between our startup ecosystems, as they are called. In Finland, in Helsinki, we have one of the largest startup ecosystems in Europe, and in Greece you have one of the fastest growing startup ecosystems, and these two are coming together. We support Ukraine because it's right, but we also support Ukraine because it's very much in our own interest. We stand steadfastly by the principle that international borders cannot be changed by force. That is true in Ukraine, and that is very much true anywhere else in the world. And the outcome of this war will very much determine and have an influence on our countries as well. So it is very much in our own interest also to assist Ukraine in its aim to come to a just and lasting peace. And these two words, these two aims, they go together hand in hand, just and lasting, because only a just peace can be a sustainable one. And it is only for the Ukrainians to decide which conditions they deem as just. But for us as the international community, it is very important that the outcome of this war is not one that ends up rewarding Russia as the aggressor, because that would have very far-reaching consequences for all of us. On Greenland, the situation in the beginning of the year was, of course, a wake-up call for all of us in Europe. But looking at it positively, the way the crisis was diffused, you could almost call that a Europe moment, because we woke up also to our own possibilities, to our own power, you could say. We realized that we are stronger than we sometimes think, that we are strong when we act together, that we have an influence, that our markets, our financial markets, play a geopolitical role. And now it is for us to learn to use and utilize and leverage that power for the good of Europe. But what I think the Greenland situation has shown for us very clearly once and for all is that our relationship with the US, the EU-US relationship, the transatlantic relationship as a whole, it is changing, it is in a flux. And this is something that we as Europe need to understand and deal with. We need to be realistic. The current US foreign policy does not always align with our values, but there are many places where we do still have joint interests and can collaborate together. The US remains an important ally and partner for Europe and for Finland nationally. Cultural, educational, academic ties, they are of course extremely important in our bilateral relations. They are the way countries, nations, peoples get to know one another and get closer to one another. What we do is we try to facilitate contacts and collaborations that emerge organically, so to say, between artists and actors and institutions on both sides. As the embassy, we are very pleased to be able to do this work together with the Finnish Institute at Athens. It is one of the several scientific institutes here in Athens. Its main focus is scientific, as said, the study of Greek archaeology, history, language and culture. But they do also contribute in assisting and facilitating artistic and educational exchanges. We are very proud of this institute. It does brilliant work in its own field, and it's really the crown jewel, you could say, of Finnish cultural, Finnish-Greek cultural ties. So we're very happy to work together with the Institute to promote Finnish culture here in Greece. And next autumn, something very special. We look forward to hopefully seeing here in Greece one of the, maybe the number one interpreter of Mikis Theodorakis' music in the Nordic countries, a Finnish singer by the name of Arja Saijonmaa, who collaborated with Mikis Theodorakis for decades. And a documentary is in the making of her life and of her collaboration with Theodorakis, and it should come out in the autumn, and we hope to organize events around that. You mentioned Göran Schild. If we say culture is a bridge, which it is definitely, then there are sometimes personalities who in themselves act as cultural bridges, and Göran Schild, this is definitely what he has accomplished with his life. He's a Finnish writer who ended up dividing his life very much between Greece and Finland. He wrote several books on his travels in Greece, combining travelogue and essayistic and Greek history, literature, etc., with descriptions of life in the Dodecanese in the late 40s, early 50s. And he is very fondly remembered in Leros. To this day, every summer there is a regatta, an international sailing competition organized in his name, and his home, Villa Kolkis on Leros, acts as something like a cultural meeting point on the island, and his home in Finland acts as a museum for Mediterranean culture in Finland. So this is a living bridge between the two countries.